Welcome back to NBA Cinema. So we got to talk about Charles Barkley and some of the things he said recently, and it's been a war of words, kind of. Him calling out Stephen A. Smith, him calling out Kendrick Perkins. Over the last 6, 7 months, they've been trading little jabs here and there, but we know that TNT is losing its NBA rights, and the show is going over to ESPN. How much is Shaq, Chuck, Kenny gonna end up working on their daytime shows? How much will you see Charles on the first take or Shaq on the first take? Or, Kenny Smith. I'm pretty sure Kenny Smith, Stephen A. Smith, they'll do a little work, obviously, the Queens thing or whatever, but I don't know how much Chuck and Shaq gonna really want to do work over there. And they don't want to be overworked. ESPN is known to give individuals a lot of hours, throughout the course of a day. Look no further than Stephen A. Smith. He may be the only man with $100 million contract that's underpaid, but we're going to get to what Chuck had to say, guys. Let's check it out.
Said, I don't want to talk about LeBron James every freaking day or Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers or all the bullshit you got to talk about. I don't want to do that every day. Now you're going to ESPN, and you've been critical of ESPN, particularly their coverage of the Lakers. What are your thoughts as this is your last season heading over?
Yeah, Dan, I'm not going to change. I'm going to do what I want to do. Nobody's going to tell me
Yeah.
what to say or what to do. I thought I get upset. They're like the Lakers are contenders. I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not contenders. Kendrick Perkins, who don't know his ass from a hole in the wall. He's like, the Lakers are contenders. Lakers are contenders, and I said they're not contenders. And clearly, if you lose in the first round, you're not a contender. But I'm not going to change my personality. Ain't nobody. They can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired. So they can't fire me. First of all, they fire me. They got to pay me for 7 years, and I'm gonna quit way before then. But if they want to fire me, I would love for them to do that. The only decision we've been making is how long I'm gonna work, and I've been going back and forth with TNT for the last 2 months, whether I'm gonna work 2 years or 3 years. But if I really wanted to, I could stay for 7 years, which there's no chance of that happening. Zero, zero. But I have made it. I'm making a decision whether I'm going to stay 2 years or 3 years, but it's more likely 2 years. But if they're going to fire me, they'd have to pay me for seven, which they're not going to do because I make too much money. So I'm not worried about getting fired, and nobody at ESPN is going to tell me what to say or do. Period.
Now, another question that Dan Dockich asked Stephen A. Smith is about would he be interested working with Kendrick Perkins, Stephen A. Smith, all of those analysts we see on air every day. And, I'm thinking if ESPN knows Chuck may be on his way out the door, they may try to get the viewership out of him, see how that works or whatever. And he gave his answer to that. Let's check it out.
And
Yeah.
will you work with Perkins and Stephen A and all those guys? Is that how it's set up? How's it set up for you guys?
Well, that's one thing that's been very interesting and frustrating for me. We actually don't have any idea how this thing gonna work. We have no idea how much we're gonna work. We don't know who we're gonna work with. So that's, to be honest with you, that's actually been one of the most frustrating things, and one of the reasons I hesitate to sign off on a deal. We've been fighting behind closed doors. I'm like, I'm not taking no job, and I know how. Number one, the most important thing is how much I'm going to work. That's been my biggest gripe, to be honest with you. Like, well, how much am I going to work? I mean, the notion that I'm gonna work more as I get older, that's just not gonna happen.
So Chuck, man, he's been very clear with his reason for sticking around and how it's the people behind the scenes on the set that he want to make sure stay employed, whether it be the camera crew, the makeup people, you name it. He wants those people to stay employed, so he's gonna stick it out a few more years for them. But also, bringing Jamal Crawford, Vince Carter, all those guys along. He wanted to kind of pass the torch to them, but. Uh, we gonna see. We just gonna see how this play out. But he's making it very clear that he's not changing who he is, what he says. He's not filtering what he says. And it sounds like Chuck wants to get fired and get paid. So ESPN probably not gonna grant him that, obviously, uh, because it's clear he wouldn't mind that. However, I do think it's in the cards for ESPN to have Chuck on some of their programs, on a Monday like today when the NBA has just aired, you know what I'm saying, just had a huge playoff doubleheader throughout the season. He would do pretty good at that. I think Chuck may find that he may like some of the earlier shows, maybe get up here and there, and then maybe ESPN first take, maybe a segment here and there. But we gonna see how entertaining it is, man. We gonna see how he's able to move over into that space because who knows? I mean, you may get some more opportunities that wasn't there before, And I know he got endorsements out the wazoo, but you always take a new one, he may get even more opportunities than he's been granted. He has a ton of things already. But, retiring in 2 or 3 years, I think that's good for him to uh, ride off into the sunset. I think that show, I want to say, has ran its course, but they've done their time. They've been here since the '90s. You know what I'm saying? So there's no need to continue that show well into the 2030s or whatever. Going forward, I think the show has had a great run, and if they want to keep inside the NBA, I mean, they probably cast some new people, but again, they have such a fan base, they have to be careful casting that because the ratings may go down if you put a new cast of characters in there. How long is Ernie going to continue to do it after they depart? Who knows, right? But this is the situation we have. Chuck said he's not changing his speech, and he's gonna do 3 years maximum. So where this contract it say if he's terminated, he has to get compensated for the full 7 years. That's smart negotiation. So Chuck, uh, he act like he don't know what a word is and different things on air, but him and his people they make sure they read that fine print, and he makes sure that he wants certain things in his contract, that is favorable to him, and so he's taking that over to ESPN. I want to know what you guys think about this. Though, do you think it's gonna work? You think the dynamic with him and Kendrick Perkins gonna be an issue? Because remember, Draymond and Chuck had an issue once upon a time, but now when they work together, they could take little shots on TV, still be cool with each other. He called Draymond triple single, and Draymond said what he said, but now they have a decent working relationship when he's on TNT. So, yeah, man, we just gotta wait and see what happens, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, peace.